honor two of our classes that are a part of the foundation of West Raleigh Presbyterian Church. The gifts and leadership they are sharing are a blessing.
Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good, for all those who love God, who are called according to his purposes.
This is the Alice Broome class, and I am Jimmy Butts.
I'm Elsie Eads.
I'm Nikki Reed.
Polly Flood.
Mary Hall.
How did Alice Broome help the church? Why was the class named in her honor?
I never knew Alice Broome. When I came in 1957, 59 years ago, she was no longer living. And the Alice Broome class met in the parlor because this building, the educational building, had not yet been built. The teacher of the class was Sybil Pierce in those days.
What should people today remember about this class?
We once would take up a collection every Sunday and then at the end of the year disperse the money.
But we supported things like Interact, Warmth for Wake, many different good activities that we supported separate from our church pledge.
I think in a way it was good for us to do that because it gave us some feeling as to who we were giving the money to.
So I joined the Alice Broome class, but most immediately I started teaching in the youth division, and I did that off and on for 35 years, but I kept coming back in between to the Alice Broome class.
And when we first moved into this room, every seat was filled.
In the early days of the Alice Broome class, since you were a man, a woman, or a couple, there were many women younger than presently are in the class.
Please share one of your favorite memories of the class or its members.
Some of my memories have been every year when we go, once a year at Christmas time when we go to Glen Eyre for a lunch.
Did the class help your faith journey?
Well, I've always taught children, so I think it's wonderful to be in this this class and have somebody teach me.
15 or 20 years. And my mother died suddenly at the age of 73. And I found comfort in joining this class of so many wonderful women that helped fill the void that was in my life when my mother died.
Who has led the studies?
Well, Madeline Matthews was the teacher when I joined the class.
That's right.
She was the teacher for many years.
Yes.
My sister, Elizabeth Crawford, taught the class in the 1960s when she was in her late 20s and has taught it in more recent years also.
Not only is she a great teacher, we can hear her, which is an issue in this class.
My sister remembers fondly how the class put on a wedding reception for her while she was teaching the class when she married Stanley Subal in 1965.
So many of us started coming at the early service. So see, they would have a service.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you go to Sunday school, and then they'd have the 11 o'clock service.
What is your happiest memory from the class?
No, I was going to say, when Madeline Matthews had the class, she would have the class to her house
Right.
for lunch, and that was usually at Christmas time.
That's right.
And she would play the piano and we would sing.
And
That's a
sometimes-
wonderful memory of
Yeah.
Christmas at Madeline's house.
I think that it's important for women to have a place where they can bond. Whether it has to do with their service to the church, whether it has to do with their marriages or their relationships, when it has to do with challenges we're faced with the children. And these are some things you may not want to share in
mixed
another
company.
class. So I think that women and even men bonding together, definitely has a place in our society.
Maurice, you lead us off.
I came here on the 29th day of March, 1950 as a graduate student. But I didn't join this class until somewhere in the early 60s.
I'm Bill Smith. I do remember why I joined, however, was at the time that the first announcement of needing new class members showed up, and the words were something to the effect that, please join our class because graduation from our class is permanent.
Well, I'm Carl Butts. When we moved here, and the family next door to us was named the Roberts, and they were members here at West Raleigh, and they invited us to come here and visit the church, and so we did, and we liked it, and we stayed.
How did Joel Moody help the church? Why was the class named in his honor?
And of course, Joel Moody was big in anything, and Joel supported just about anything that could be done for this class, for the church.
And he was a teacher at one time too.
Yep, he taught the class too at one time. This class was originally the men called the men's Bible class. So the history of the class goes back quite a ways.
But Clarence Brannon was the first teacher, but I remember him because he was a state entomologist downtown, and I was majoring in entomology at NC State.
1990s or something like that, we moved up from the downstairs area into this classroom. The men of this class redecorated the classrooms on these two floors. Anyway, Buckeye had a lot of fun doing that job and working on that, and so the members of the class did too.
My association with West Raleigh, however, goes back somewhat more than that to 1952-53. The sanctuary had been consecrated, dedicated, to whichever term you wish to use, in the spring of 1952, and the former facility turned over to the PCM. Campus pastor was known as the rabbi. He had a glorious black beard, a Presbyterian minister, however. When we were working in there, they played the Warsaw Concerto after or perhaps during the Second World War, and from that you can hear the sirens come up, you can hear the planes up above, the explosions, the sirens down below, fighting the fires, and then the thing going off into quiet silence.
Please share one of your favorite memories of the class or one of its members.
As Maurice says, the professionalism of the people in the class was something that was really nice. But the other thing about it is that everybody had something, they knew something about something. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we have conversations about everything, from bugs to building to growing things and to travel, and so you could always learn something.
Well, for example, I've done this recently. I found a little bug running across the floor, captured it, didn't know what it was, and I brought it to the expert. He was able to identify it despite the fact that the bug had dried and I had smashed it into little pieces.
Did the class help your faith journey, and how?
Well, the whole purpose is that using this particular guide, it's totally biblically oriented here and gives us a deep insight into very specific sections of the Bible. And in our class, we're using a book which is used throughout the Presbyterian Church. Not everyone, but there are a lot of other people studying the same thing at the same time.
What should people today remember about this class?
Is that if you look at the church records, I don't think that you will go through those without finding participation by everyone who has been a member of this class. They have been either a deacon or an elder or both.
Well, we used to cook a meal on Thanksgiving morning for everybody in the church. We provided the food, did the cooking, and did the serving and the cleaning and all that stuff, members of this class. In this picture, this is Mel Starnes. Mel was he was our egg scrambler. Fred Webb and Frank Wheaton on the bottom, and then Buck Plum. Those guys have all passed away. I recall one time we were cooking for the Ark. So I cooked the meat and Buck did all the other stuff. And it was kind of interesting too, to meet these folks who were homeless otherwise and to hear what their stories were. Well, one of the things about this class that I think is enduring and will be for a long time is the scholarship fund. And all the interest that was collected on it would go to scholarship grants to people that were studying the ministry or to be director of Christian education. Well, that started with a small amount, $1,700. Now that fund has a principal value of over $30,000, and we have given away over $25,000 in scholarships.